Hi guys, welcome to JoshLebeau.com. I've been woefully neglectful in posting over the past couple of years, but I'm trying to get back in the habit. I'm clearly not digitally that modern, but I'm working on it. I do want to teach you some really important stuff though, and one of the themes that's been coming up a lot with my clients is standing or falling, right? When I think of assessing gait or assessing someone walk, which is my primary assessment, when someone new comes to me, the first thing I'm going to look at is how are they walking? And mostly what I'm trying to figure out is how are they actually putting all of their weight on one leg and removing a kickstand here. So if I'm going to have to stand on my left leg, it's going to require that I bring my center of gravity, all of the fluid weight of my body, and everything that matters over to the left side, over my base of support. And the prime muscle that's going to do that is my abdominal wall and sort of the safe position, which if you haven't seen my safe videos, I urge you to go check out some of that information because it discusses how the deep abdominal wall connects this lower portion of the rib cage to that front upper portion of the pelvis and keeps things together in the front to both resist the diaphragm as well as stabilize the body in so many ways. So for the purposes of gait, we're going to look at how that abdominal wall anchors the rib cage to the pelvis and keeps it there through that movement, right? So typically in single leg standing, when I'm looking at someone standing on one leg, there are three places it can go wrong. And most rehab specialists, if you've seen a PT or something, they talk about something called a Trendelenburg or a drop hip, where the pelvis is breaking loose from the femur right here, and it's actually, when you go to pick that weight up, you actually fall off the pelvis, right? And you see that a lot, right? Especially it's in part of all kinds of different walking and dancing, and it has a purpose in life, but not necessarily in stable sort of athletic standing, okay? Maybe in Latin dancing and salsa dancing as the floor pushes you around, that's one thing. But when I'm looking at someone and trying to discover where their pain might be coming from or what's happening, how their body is sort of compensating for the fact that they're having trouble picking up one leg and just being on it. One of the first places to look is this Trendelenburg or this drop hip. It's real common, and I find a lot of people have that knowledge. The things that become more important to me, or that we have to put on top of that hip, are the two places at the pelvis and the rib cage that are often sort of neglected in this conversation, which are the jobs of this deep abdominal wall to sort of anchor this upper rib cage, to turn it and anchor it on top of the standing leg, right? To keep the pelvis together and the rib cage turned and anchored to that side. So the upper rib cage can drift functionally back in the other direction for proper walking, right? To keep everything straight. But it matters because I'm keeping my body tilted, the center of gravity and all the fluid over this base of support. So what I look for is two things related to that kind of abdominal connection when I see someone pick up their leg. One is, as soon as they go to pick up this right leg here, I want you to watch my pelvis, because right now my abs have my pelvis gently turned to the left around that left leg, because that's the leg I want my pelvis facing, right? So I have this gently turned here. When I go to pick this leg up, what I see is a lot of clients sort of drift off. They don't just fall off the hip, but it turns. And as that hip is turning, I don't know if you can feel it, but you're being turned off this leg, twisting into this knee, and your body's doing everything it can to compensate and stay on top of that leg. And we talk about compensations a lot in pain and sort of rehab therapy, because what the body's doing to overcome this sort of initial problem are really where we get a lot of injuries and a lot of pain, right? So the initial problem is the body's actually falling off the leg. It's being twisted off the leg. And somehow it has to figure out a way to stay on top of it. And things get tight, necks get tight, all kinds of things happen to try and hold you up, which sort of stem from these roots. So when I'm watching someone pick up a leg or walk, I'm looking to see, does this thing break off? Does it fall off, right? Because you could fall off at the pelvis in these two ways. This abdominal has to hold it nice and easy. And you can see as I stand here, I'm not making a great effort to hold on to this safe position to be able to control my pelvis and rib cage on top of my leg. So That's huge. The other way it can fall apart is the rib cage is as you see my abdominals hold here, you'll notice that my left shoulder gets slightly lower than my right because I'm anchoring this side down. And what you'll notice is sometimes when you see someone pick up this leg, you'll watch the shoulder drop because the body isn't holding this rib cage here. Now, I'm not bending, I'm not side bending with my shoulder. I'm just gently holding over to this side so that when I pick up this leg, it doesn't fall out, right? And that's kind of the big challenge. It's easier said than done, but it becomes something that is sort of, we want to add to our neuromotor programming. So it's like, it's really hard in the beginning, almost like learning to wiggle an ear, and you feel like you're working to get these muscles contracted. But once you find it, it's easy. It's meant to happen with every step. So I'm coming to this leg, and I put this foot down, and I give a hold, and instead of spinning out or falling off or dropping, my body anchors, and I'm able to pick up this leg and be able to move it through a range of motion, and my upper body through a range of motion, while these things stay anchored together, and I stay on top of this base of support. Because it's the falling off where we'll start to see ACL tears, we'll start to see all things happen as you can feel this pelvis, you pick up this leg and this pelvis starts to pull you off. This is what it looks like from the back, right? So here I'm anchored to my left leg. As I go to pick this up, I see a lot of people just drift off, right? So often I'll see people drift off on this side, this way, and then when they go to their right leg, they hold the pelvis stable, but the shoulder might drop. You see, as soon as it picks up, what I'm curious and what matters to me is the moment you lift the leg, right? As it comes off, do you have this hold? Because in walking, it's an instantaneous sort of trade. So I want to feel like when you go to pick this leg up, you don't have to pick it and catch it. You pick it up and you're there. Your body wants to understand that it has this position. So to review, when you come in and I'm basically doing the very first simple assessment, one of the things I'm looking at right away is how are you walking? How are you carrying the weight from one leg to the other? And we're not even discussing the sort of forward and back position that happens if you pick up and fall off, how the body instantly starts to fall back into these places, then reaching with the neck and compensating with twists all over the torso. I mean, it's amazing. If you start to think about it, as I start to pick up this leg, if I fall this way, you're going to watch my neck. The more I start to fall, have to stay straight. So you start to see these compensations in the neck and in the head, and you also start to see the more back I go, the more my neck has to reach forward. The more I can come back and kind of stand on top of my torso, the more relaxed my head can be. So that's all happening on one leg as well when I fall off, because I'm removing one entire side of support from the body. When you think about that, that's no small task. It's not about balance, it's about a nice, functionally strong hold from glute medius, from leg to pelvis, and from these deep, safe abdominals at the rib cage to the pelvis. And that's just, an easy way of starting to think about it. But if you have any questions, I really hope this helps out, because we really want to think about moving our bodies from leg to leg, from ab to ab. I tell people to think about this being the foot and this being the floor that we're putting it on, so I actually have a place to stand. We'll also discuss a lot of things like how your lungs are the tires that you're standing on. As we come and we place this foot down, I'm also compressing this tire. So my gait gets a little bit more conscious about what's happening in my torso as I start to load my left leg and my right leg. So just to give you some food for thought and some ideas as you start to think about your body and movement. Again, I hope this helped and was interesting. If you have any questions, joshlebeau.com. Thanks a lot for paying attention. Take care.